yen population yenru 8 million na Kwame Nkrumah efiri Hanoi no went me ama Ghana nti okọ Guinea wo mo yen ceremonial president e Guinea na eniema esiye eho nwom enwom bi baako eye Kwame Nkrumah adwane akọhye Guinea mem asase so koto kechi ni Ghana mem mu wiwe no onu na wo yawi ewi Nkrumah wi.
Okay,
Form so
101.7.
Na we wo sema na wo mu so ne se adanya wodo estate wodo Kwame Nkrumah si wo Ghana nyina wo anyi ba akokora amfa me pa cho Kaneshi estate Kwame Nkrumah ne siye ne de ba akokora anim Awodomi estate Kwame Nkrumah ne siye ne de ba akokora anim wo si cantonments wo si Laboni wo si Aswansi estate ne de ba akokora anim me pa cho me bobo maka adan ahodo a wo siye Aswansi Kumase Aswansi estate no no wo si 1306 nana me mo akwaba
nana me joso
Suntraso North Suntraso South Suntraso adanya eguo estate de ho no Kwame Nkrumah ne siye Kumase wo si 1180
as at that time
na Ghana yen population enu 8 million wo si Kwadaso estate 126 estate buildings wako obuase ekosi 668 buildings obuase estate Takwa wati 819 estate baby ani was 984 baby ani estate no e ho no Kwame Nkrumah si Adiemra Kumase Adiemra was 1213 Kumase estate one one krom enkrofo baby ofiri no was
101.7
and then what chairman abusuafo se na dien bi o me pa cho ni krom nkrofo no was 16
your hometown
efie kuma was 2802 Pedu Cape Coast was 98 Kofodia was 189 Achemuda was 12 Sildo was 222 Mepacho Salt Pond Achemfo was 55 Cape Coast was 432 Adanya estate ahodo na make kan yo pacho fe no bi e ofidie no Kwame Nkrumah esiye ho was 228 Kanda estate no e 414 Kwame Nkrumah de siye Kajabi was 54 Jase kan 54 Ketan 71 Osu new site 170 Ringway road one was 187 Tamale was 30 Bolgatanga was 12 Fante Abosu was 68 Labadi was 413 Labadi International Base 84 Kolegono North and Main Kolegono was 376 Kaneshi 1 and 2 no was 1987 Western Tanokrum 3 Chapel Hill 2 East Christianburg Accra 203 West Kolegono 692 Laboni was 184 Latebi Okoshi was 60 Latebi Okoshi Lab one was enoso kan me pa chow de ye kan nyina no Kwame Nkrumah ne e saadan ya mexi osisi ye nyina wa agi ba akokora amfa ye tu no baabia na de yire fatia eni seku Nkrumah monte no ene ba ko no e oba no de sempo wo mo ko tu wo mo fridan no edan Kwame Nkrumah si ye no hwe dodo no ankrofo wia omo wia fai na nam so omo wia fai nti ade bi hwe ade sa estes ni nyina wo twam a atete apansam wo mo nya sika mfanye akwasi amankwa afifa oka Coup no ho wo mo wie ye no eno mba bo man no kro nana
omo na wo so Osagyefo ye wi no
eye wi no nana ni krom mampon krobo okobu ni krom akura ase dan nyina tugui eno osi ni nyina estates onya sika no we
the entire town
na light ni wo the electricity ko ho na nsuo ni wo the nsuo ko ho na krom wo nyina we tete wo kota we krom wo nyina kota eye gutters si community center ma wo ba bia krom mu fo nkurasefo no wo be ko match pass wo ye ma wo si aso dan kan efifa kromfo wo wi sika wo de akoye krom krobo
se na do ba ye nso so okon ne ho a Fiti Junction so eko no krom woni na kota
ai
efom kwan kra kota akokodu baby
kofo ne di ni krom abro ni kromfo abro wanye the Kumasi akro.
Today marks 60 years since the overthrow of my grandfather Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founding father of Ghana. A day that not only changed the course of my family's life, but also the course of Africa's history. And today I want to tell you the story of what really happened. On the morning of February 24th, 1966, my grandfather wasn't in Ghana. He was abroad on a peace mission, invited by Ho Chi Minh to help bring an end to the war in Vietnam. The coup plotters had waited for this moment and they struck while he was gone and thousands of miles away, so he couldn't return in time. At around 5 a.m, the family woke up to the sound of gunfire. A fierce gun battle had broken out at Flagstaff House, the presidential residence. Inside the house, my grandma Fateya, she gathered all the children and she told them, even if they shoot, you are protected. Nothing will happen to you. And they knelt down and prayed together. At some point, my grandfather managed to call the family. He told them to have courage, to have no fear. He reassured the family to let them know that nothing would happen to them. The shooting went on for a while. The presidential guards had decided they were ready to die protecting the family. Then all of a sudden, the shooting stopped. The coup soldiers had threatened to bomb the house and attack the family if the guards didn't surrender. So to prevent further loss of life, they laid down their arms. The coup soldiers then forced their way inside the house, moving room to room with their rifles, destroying everything they could see in front of them, and they even killed one of the most loved maids right in front of the children. My father Gamal, who was just 7 years old at the time, he recalls one of the soldiers aiming a firearm at them, and his hands were shaking. He looks at him and he says, "I know you don't want to do this, you're nice people." Because you see, the truth is a lot of these soldiers were young and naive, and a lot of them had been lied to and misled. Outside, violence spread across Accra. Innocent civilians were being killed and injured. Homes were being burnt down. Anyone who supported Nkrumah publicly was at risk. In McCullough Market, an elderly woman had a picture of Kwame Nkrumah behind her. The soldiers come and they try to take the picture of her, and she refuses. She refuses 3 times. And the soldiers, they shoot and kill her right on the spot. On the same day, Colonel Kotoka and 25 of his men, they arrive at Major General Barwa's home. They demand he either join them or surrender. Of course, he refuses. They shot him at point blank range right in front of his wife and kids, and they even killed 7 of his security officers. The soldiers then searched my grandfather's home, expecting to find gold and money as they've been told. Of course, all they find is papers and books, blueprints for Africa and for Ghana that he'd been writing. And he said what hurt him the most out of everything they destroyed was a book that he'd been writing on Africa's history. This book was due to be in the curriculum for every single African to read to understand their history, and they destroyed it. Inside Flagstaff House alone, around 20 people were killed and over 25 people were injured. Across the country, over 1,600 people were killed and many more injured. Yet it was later framed as a bloodless coup. Thankfully, my grandma being Egyptian, she managed to contact the Egyptian embassy, and with the help of the Egyptian president Gamal Abdel Nasser, they managed to find safety for the family. But even then, soldiers escorted my family to the airport while still holding my grandma at gunpoint, and they were forced into exile to Egypt. It's fair to say after that day, nothing was ever the same again, neither for the family or for Ghana, or I would even say for Africa. So who was behind the coup? You see, during that period, Ghana was filled with many traitors and spies. Members of the military and the police conspired against Kwame Nkrumah. But the real masterminds weren't just in Ghana. They were in Washington, in London, the CIA, British intelligence, the MI5. They had spies all across the city. They funded fake protests, and ultimately they orchestrated the coup. In the 1960s, Africa was under siege. African leaders were being killed, overthrown left, right and center. And Kwame Nkrumah, leading the African Revolution, was seen as the most dangerous man on the continent. There had been many assassination attempts on his life, and when that failed, they used propaganda to demonize him. They labeled him a dictator. They said he was a communist. They said he was power hungry. Propaganda was used to justify his removal. And today, 60 years later, we are still experiencing the consequences of that day. Because this wasn't just an attack on one man, it was an attack on his vision for Africa, a united and independent continent. While violence tore through his home, Kwame Nkrumah was across the world trying to end the war. He was betrayed by some of his own people, but he never stopped believing in Ghana and in Africa. And he believed that even after he's gone, the people will continue to carry his vision forward.
Forward forever, forward Africa. No day shall raise thee from the records of time. You will always be remembered.
You have the floor. You have the floor. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise with the heavy heart, yet with the spirit fortified with historical truths. And that's how fired up I am today to make this statement. Today, the 24th of February, 2026, marks 60 years since the most regrettable and darkest moment in our nation's history, the overthrow of the founder of modern Ghana, the man whose very blood mingles with the soil of my beloved constituency, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. 60 years ago, on February 24th, 1966, a dark cloud descended upon our young republic. What was termed at the time as Operation Coup was in reality the assassination of the African dream. The verdict of history. For decades, the events of 24th February were all shrouded in the convenient narratives of the victors. But today, 60 years removed from that fateful day, the fog of propaganda has been lifted by the cold, hard light of the classified truth. Mr. Speaker, we must place on the permanent record of this House that what happened on that day was not merely a coup. It was an assassination of a dream, orchestrated by individuals who could not bear to see an independent, self-reliant, and powerful black star shining so brightly. Today we know from the classified records across the globe that what really happened was a well-coordinated plot timed to occur while our president was on a peace mission to Hanoi, seeking an end to the Vietnam War. It was a stab in the back delivered by those who saw Nkrumah's Ghana as a threat to their neo-colonial agenda. As confirmed by His Excellency the President recently, during the 68th Independence Day celebrations, and now supported by overwhelming documentary evidence from across the globe, the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was a coup inspired, engineered, and executed with the active complicity of external forces. The crime of Nkrumah was not mismanagement. It was his audacity to dream of a United States of Africa. An Africa that will control its own resources, threatening the grip of neo-colonialism. Mr. Speaker, let us call it what it was, an act of international aggression against a sovereign African state. The coup did not just remove a man, it shattered the vision of an industrialized, self-reliant Ghana. It halted the construction of a nation that will process its own cocoa, refine its own oil, and manufacture its own goods. It plunged us into decades of political instability, backtracking on our progress we had made, setting back our attainment of nationhood by a generation. As we acknowledge the tragedy of the overthrow, we must, with equal vigor, reaffirm the unparalleled and singular role Kwame Nkrumah played during the birthing of this nation. There are those who, driven by political expediency or historical revisionism, may seek to diminish this legacy. The Speaker, let no one be deceived. Kwame Nkrumah was not just a participant in Ghana's independence struggle. He was the architect, the driving force, and the strategic genius behind that movement. While we honor the contributions of all our forebears, and we must honor them for their contributions, the historical facts are unequivocal. It was Nkrumah who, upon his return from the US and UK in 1947, brought a radical energy to the politics of the Gold Coast. It was Nkrumah who founded the CPP, a mass political movement that mobilized not just the elite, but the ordinary people, the market women, the workers, and the youth. It was Nkrumah who coined the battle cry, self-government now, and organized the positive action campaigns of strikes and boycotts that made the colony ungovernable for the British. When he was imprisoned by the colonial authorities for his activism, it was Nkrumah's party that won the 1951 election, forcing the British to release him and invite him to lead government business. And it was Kwame Nkrumah who, on the night of the 6th of March, 1957, stood before the world and declared that the Ghanaian people were free forever. His vision did not stop at our borders. He understood that our freedom was meaningless unless it was linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. His legacy is etched into the very fabric of our nation. And we can think about it and reflect on it today. The Akosombo Dam that continue to light our homes. The Tema Harbor that anchors our trade. The Ghana Airways that connected us to the world. The secondary schools built across the nation, and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, which remains a citadel of learning. Can we imagine modern Ghana without these foundational pillars? As I conclude, I'm reminded of the words of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I am in the knowledge that death can never extinguish the torch which I have lit in Ghana and Africa. Long after I'm dead and gone, the light will continue to burn and burn aloft, giving light and guidance to all people. He lives on in the Akosombo Dam's turbines. He lives on in the minds of students of KNUST. He lives on in every Pan-African ideal we dare to speak. He lives on in the determination of all Ghanaians to finish the work he started. Let this 60th anniversary mark a turning point. Let us as one people finally agree on the important and indispensable role of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in founding our country. Let's recommit to the ideals of self-reliance, Pan-African unity, and the industrial transformation that Kwame Nkrumah so tirelessly championed. May his soul continue to rest in perfect peace. Amen. And may the example of his life forever guide our path. God bless our homeland Ghana. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Yeah.